वंशनाथम्। ॐ नमः श्री तुलसीदास सद्वरिष्ठाय धीमते पूरितं हृदयं येन रामप्रेमामृतेन मे। बिनु सत्संग विवेक न होई, बिनु सत्संग विवेक न होई। राम कृपा बिनु सुलभ न सोई, राम कृपा बिनु सुलभ न सोई। सत्संगति मुद मंगल मूला, सिद्धि सब साधन फूला, सोई फल सिद्धि सब साधन फूला, सोई फल सिद्धि सब साधन फूला, सोई फल सिद्धि सब साधन फूला। विश्वामित्र प्रियधन राम, राम राम जय राजा राम, राम राम जय सीता राम। घोर ताटका घातक राम, मारीचादिनि पातक राम, कौशिक मख संरक्षक राम, श्रीमदहल्योद्धारक राम, गौतम मुनि संपूजित राम, सुरमुनिवरगण संस्तुत राम, नाविक धाविक मृदुपद राम, मिथिलापुर जन मोहक राम। राम राम जय राजा राम, राम राम जय सीता राम। विदेह मानस रंजक राम, त्र्यंबक कार्मुक भंजक राम, सीतार्पित वर मालिक राम, कृत वैवाहिक कौतुक राम, भार्गव दर्प विनाशक राम, श्रीमदयोध्या पालक राम। राम राम जय राजा राम, राम राम जय सीता राम। राम राम जय राजा राम, राम राम जय सीता राम। पितृवाक्याश्रितकानन राम प्रियगुह विनिवेदित पद राम तत्क्षालित निज मृदुपद राम भरद्वाज मुखानन्दक राम चित्रकूटाद्रिनिकेतन राम दशरथ सन्तत चिन्तित राम कैकेयी तनयार्थित राम विरचित निज पितृकर्म कराम भरतार्पित निज पादुक राम 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 जय राजा राम 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 जय सीता राम
राम राम जय राजा राम 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 जय सीता राम
दण्डकवन जन पावन राम दुष्ट विराध विनाशन राम शरभङ्ग सुतीक्ष्णार्चित राम अगस्त्यानुग्रह वर्धित राम गृध्रादिप संसेवित राम पञ्चवटी तट सुस्थित राम शूर्पणखार्ति विधायक राम खरदूषण मुख सूदक राम
राम राम जय राजा राम 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 जय सीता राम
सीता प्रिय हरिणानुग राम मारीचातिकृदाशुग राम विनष्ट सीतान्वेषक राम गृध्रादिपगतिदायक राम शबरी दत्त फलाशन राम कबन्ध बाहुच्छेदन राम 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 जय राजा राम 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 जय सीता राम
राम राम जय राजा राम 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 जय सीता राम
हनुमत सेवित निज पद राम नत सुग्रीवाभीष्टद राम गर्वित वालि संहारक राम वानरदूत प्रेषक राम हितकर लक्ष्मण संयुत राम श्रीराम जय जय राम 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 जय राजा राम 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 जय सीता राम
राम राम जय राजा राम 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 जय सीता राम
कपिवर सन्तत संस्मृत राम तद्गति विघ्नध्वंसक राम सीता प्राणाधारक राम दुष्ट दशानन दूषित राम शिष्ट हनुमद्भूषित राम सीता वेदित काकावन राम कृतचूडामणि दर्शन राम कपिवर वचनाश्वासित राम 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 जय राजा राम 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 जय सीता दशरथ वीक्षित राम सीता दर्शन मोदित राम अभिषिक्त विभीषण नत राम पुष्पकयानारोहण राम भरद्वाजाभिनिवेशण राम भरत प्राण प्रियकर राम
राम राम जय राजा राम 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 जय सीता राम
साकेतपुरी भूषण राम सकल स्वीय समानत राम रत्नलसत्पीठास्थित राम पट्टाभिषेकालङ्कृत राम पार्थिव कुल सम्मानित राम विभीषणार्पित रङ्गक राम ईशकुलानुग्रहकर राम सकल जीव संरक्षक राम समस्त लोकाधारक राम श्रीराम जय जय राम 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 जय राजा राम 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 जय सीता राम
राम राम जय राजा राम 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 जय सीता राम
to Akshat from Akshat.
You can start, Anjali. Please start.
Hari Om. Jai Siya Ram. My name is Anjali Dalal and I'm a trustee with Chinmaya Mission, Mumbai. I extend a very warm welcome to Puja Swami Swatmanandji, you the viewers and all committee members today on the third day and second section of the auspicious Siya Ram festival. We begin with seeking God's grace and blessings with an invocation by Srimati Ankita Khanna.
ॐ सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः
समस्त जन कल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मवेद्वरम्.
We now have two invocation verses exclusively on Mother Sita. The meaning of the first verse is, I prostrate to Sita, the beloved consort of Sri Rama. She is responsible for the creation, sustenance, and dissolution of the universe, removes afflictions, and begets all blessings. The second verse means, I bow to Sita of noble conduct, worthy of being saluted even by the Trinity, Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva. She is the mother of all the three worlds who embodies in herself hundreds of heavenly creepers, capable of granting desires of those who seek their shade. She is adorned with many gold ornaments whose edges are picturesque with numerous gems. This will be rendered by Kumari Sindhuja Venkatraman.
उद्भवे स्थितिसंहारे कारिणीं क्लेशहारिणीं सर्वश्रेयस्करीं सीतां नतोऽहं रामवल्लभाम् सीतामुदारचरितां वदिष्यामि विष्णु वन्द्यां त्रिलोकजननीं शतकोपवल्लीं हेमैरणिकमणिरञ्जितकोटिभागैः कोशाशेरणोदिनं सहितां नमामि.
That was a beautiful invocation and rendition. Thank you. Many of us have grown up listening or reading the Ramayana and have always wondered, why was Sita ji punished, and that too twice? Was her banishment at the time when she was pregnant justified? A woman of self-confidence, knowledge, and dignity, why did she allow this to happen? So, was Sita ji a victim or a victor? We have today two very eminent speakers to throw light on these aspects of Sita ji. Puja Swamini Vimalananda ji from Chinmaya Gardens, Coimbatore, Pranam Swamini ji, and Professor Dr. Gauri Mahulikar ji from Chinmaya Vishwavidyapeeth. Hari Om, Doctor. A very warm welcome to both of you. For those who have not heard our speakers before, let me give you a short introduction about them. Puja Swamini ji is a senior disciple of Puja Gurudev Swami Chinmayananda ji. After acquiring an honors degree in architecture, her travels made her reflect on life and move from designing the world outside to the seeking of the sacred inside. The Chinmaya Mission Vedanta course deepened her spiritual knowledge. Her passion for education found fulfillment in concretizing her Guru's vision into the Chinmaya Vision program, which now largely reflects in the national education policy recently introduced in India by the central government. Her multifarious contributions in the field of education, as she headed the Chinmaya Mission educational cell for the last 25 years, has touched the lives of millions. A dynamic leader, a serious seeker, a spiritual practitioner, a prodigious learner, a visionary educator, a nature lover, a prolific writer, and a popular speaker. She travels around the world guiding seekers of all ages. Her simple style of talking has captivated the intellectual and faithful alike. Her sense of aesthetics and depth of knowledge reflects in all her activities, including her writing. Puja Swamini ji has authored books on a variety of subjects: Vedantic commentaries, Indian culture series, answering youth queries, child-centered activities, and education theories. Her books are very popular, as are her YouTube talks. I seriously recommend you do try them. Our second speaker today is Professor Dr. Gauri Mahulikar ji from the Chinmaya Vishwavidyapeeth. A researcher in Vedic literature, a student of Vedanta, and a passionate lover of Sanskrit literature, Dr. Mahulikar ji holds a doctorate in Sanskrit on Vedic elements in Puranic mantras and rituals. An author who has published 6 books and over 80 research articles in English, Marathi, Hindi, and Sanskrit, Dr. Mahulikar ji has mentored several doctoral students, 16 of who have successfully earned their doctorates. She retired as head of Sanskrit department and Gurudev Tagore Chair for Comparative Literature of the Mumbai University in 2015, and joined the Chinmaya Vishwavidyapeeth in Velayanad, Kerala as Vice Chancellor and is currently Dean of Faculty. Dr. Mahulikar ji was awarded the Manikji Limji Gold Medal for her dissertation on ancient Greek dramas and Bharata's Natya Shastra from the Mumbai University. Some of the many awards that Dr. Mahulikar ji has been awarded are the Ramakrishna Award by the Canadian Education Foundation, Ontario, for the propagation of Sanskrit, Guru Gaurav Puraskar by Kala Sadan, Mumbai, Kavi Kulaguru Kalidas Sanskrit Sadhana Puraskar by the Maharashtra State Government, Adi Shankaracharya Puraskar, awarded by none other than His Holiness Shri Jayendra Saraswati Mahaswamigal, the Shankaracharya of Kanchi Kamothi Peetham, Savitribai Phule Puraskar by the Mumbai University, and the Indira Behere Puraskar by Tilak Maharashtra Vidyapeeth, Pune. Dr. Mahulikar ji is a very well decorated and accomplished lady. Congratulations. Before we proceed, those of you who have questions during the session may post them in the chat box, but be sure to also mention to whom they are addressed to. We will try to take up as many as we can, given the time constraints. May I now request Pujya Swamini ji to please take over.
Sakala Kushaladhatrim Bhakti Muktim Pradatrim Tribhuvana Janayitrim Dushtadhinashayitrim Janakadharani Putrim Darpidarpa Prahartrim Harihara Vidhikartrim Naumi Sadbhakta Bhartrim Ya Devi Sarvabhuteshu Sita Rupena Samsthita Namastasyai 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 Namo Namaha. Hari Om and Namaskar to everyone. Today's topic is indeed very interesting, not just for women, but for everyone. As was said in the invocation prayer, before the session started, even by me, Sage Valmiki, Sage Tulsidas ji, Santa Tulsidas ji, all of them have prostrated, have done namaskar to Sita ji, not just as the wife of Sri Rama, but as Adi Shakti, the Lord's infinite power. Before we go into this actual topic, let me make a couple of things very clear. Number one, Sanatana Dharma believes God is one. The omniscient, Sarvagnya, Sarvashaktiman, Parabrahma, Paramatma is one without a second, neither a female nor a male. Not only is God one, His Shakti, His power, His infinite power is also one with Him. We say Him because of just the grammar part of it, but it's not. Shakti is not a female and not a male. Poet and poetic talent, they are not male or female. It can be poetess, poetry when it poetic talent when it expresses as a poetry, that it is an expression as a poetry, as something which is this outside, is really still not different. When I appreciate poetry, I'm appreciating the poet, and when I appreciate the poet, I'm appreciating his poetry. So therefore, this Shakti and Bhagwan, God's infinite power and Bhagwan are not too different, cannot be made different. Now, when that omniscient, omnipotent Lord, Bhagwan, takes a form, let us say he incarnates as a Rama, the purpose of incarnation is very clearly given: to protect the good people, to destroy the evilness in the world, and to re-establish dharma. And therefore, anything and everything done by Bhagavan, by God, and his Shakti, which also manifests along with him, will always be in line with dharma and never, ever be adharmic, because the very purpose of the incarnation is to establish dharma. So there can neither be wrong anything by immoral or illegal or unethical by in Bhagwan's incarnation or in his expression as his Shakti. It cannot be, because the very purpose is dharma samsthapana. Having got this clear, let us go to the Rama avatar and Sita Ji's manifestation as his Shakti. So look at the birth. Was she a victim? Never. All the jivas choose their birth. She is not a jiva, she is Adi Shakti. She chose her birth, not through any mortal being. She chose as the child of the earth. She had a fantastic upbringing as in the house of none other than the great Janak Maharaj, the king of Mithila. Not only was he a Jnani, a Bhakta, a very, very great saint in his own right, if you have to say, a royal upbringing in the house of someone who was, so she had a privileged, a great education and a great upbringing. Then we go to the fact, the marriage. So even though it was called Swayamvar, was it really a Swayamvar? Swayamvar means I choose the husband. Swayamvara. I choose the Vara, the Shrestha person. The person is going to be the husband. So was it really a Swayamvara? If you see, not really, because there was a condition. But whoever breaks the bow gets to marry Sitaji. And that was not a condition done by her. It was a condition done by the father. Actually, it was not even the father. It was Parashurama, who, having seen Sitaji in her childhood, playing with this same bow, which is so difficult to carry by anyone, playing with it, he said, she is nothing but Adi Shakti. So only Parabrahma, Paramatma, God only can have her as his consort. And therefore, whoever breaks this bow shall marry her, because he will be God. No one else can break the bow. So therefore, this condition actually was not a conditioning for Sitaji. As I see it, it was a conditioning for Janak Maharaj to recognize that the one Sitaji marries will be God himself. Because Sitaji, if you see the whole this, the day before the Swayamvara, what happened? Sitaji saw Rama in the garden. And what? She recognized, this is my Lord. This is someone I want to marry. This is Bhagwan. This is the one that I have been looking out for. So it was love at first sight. In fact, on the day of the Swayamvara, when the bow was kept and everyone else tried, of course, naturally, no one succeeded. It was not possible for anyone to succeed. It was like almost an understood fact that none of them would succeed, because who was going to marry him? Her? Bhagwan himself, the Lord himself. So everyone tried, of course, they didn't succeed. And when Bhagwan went up to the manch to try, to lift this, Sitaji prayed desperately. She said, oh Bhagwan, the Tulasi Ramayana is a beautiful description. She is praying, she's desperately praying. Oh Bhagwan, please make that bow light so that he can carry. She forgot that he was this great Lord. But at that point of time, out of sheer love for him, she says, please make the bow light. May he be able to carry the boat. No, the bow, sorry. And of course, what happened? Bhagwan strung the bow and it broke also. All of that, we all know. So therefore, here we would think that, oh, she was made to marry. There was no self-will. She did not have a choice. Someone else decided whom she was going to marry, but that was not true. In fact, that test, I truly believe, was for others to recognize the greatness of Rama and the greatness of the person that Sitaji was going to marry. She herself had already chosen. Now we go to the next incident. And that is what? When Bhagwan Ram was exiled and sent into the forest for 14 years. Was she also a victim at that point of time? Not at all. In fact, we find a lot of times, people always feel that they have a right to tell, others about their dharma or their kartavya and about what is good for them. This sort of, especially if it comes to a woman. I know what is right for you. I know what your dharma is. I understand what your kartavya is, and you should do this, and that is the good thing for you. I'm saying for your own good. So everyone tried that with Sita-ji. They all told her, you should stay in Ayodhya. You are not fit to go into the forest. It is not a place for a young woman. And who will take care of the father and the mother, the in-laws, and all this. Bhagwan Rama herself said, please stay back. That place forest is not for you, etc. And what did she do? She said, see, she's got a good education. She has a great power of understanding and, what is right, what is wrong, what is my duty, this. So she uses that choice that was there given to her, and she says, no, sorry. I know you all mean good for me, but I also know what is good for me. I know what is my dharma. I know what is my kartavya. I know what I'm doing is right, and I shall do as I want to do. And I will go with Rama, understanding all the problems that are going to come. I take this journey with him. I will walk the path with him on that road in the forest. I'm not going to stay in the luxury of the palace, even though you think that's best for me. I'm going with you. So there again, she was not a victim. She chose the path that she chose. Now, when we choose the path we choose, or we make decisions in our life, or sometimes we evaluate situations, we try to understand things, it is possible that we do wrong. We judge, we misjudge, we misunderstand. And that's exactly what happened to her. But when you have taken your choice, and when you know that you have done something which is not right, you take the consequences. You don't complain about it. This is what happened to her, Sita-ji. Two incidents we see. She misunderstood Lakshmana. When the Marich incident happened and Bhagwan called out, what happened? Sita-ji misunderstood Lakshmana's intentions. It would never have happened, something like that, because she held Lakshmana in greatest of regard. And yet at that point of time, in her mental condition or emotional, whatever you say, she misunderstood Lakshmanji. She profusely apologizes to him thereafter when she realized, oh, it was a big mistake. Not only that happened, but very soon after that, when Ravana also came, what happened? She misunderstood him. She did not see through his, whatever he put, disguise he put. She couldn't see through him. Even though under normal circumstances, she would have thought before, why is he asking me to come out? Why is he, all these things? But at that point of time, it didn't happen. And what happened? She had to take the consequences of her action, sure enough. So when we make our own decisions, you have to. So fine, she was not a victim over there again. She chose. Now we go to this journey in Ashok Vatika, where she is in, so to speak, Ravana's captivity. Was she a victim over there? Was she, a helpless, hopeless situation? Yes, apparently so. She's far away from everyone. She has no idea at that point of time whether her husband even knows where she is, etc., etc. And she's been troubled by all these people, and Ravana himself was making propositions which were inappropriate. etc. So was she a helpless person at that time? If you see, imagine that strength of Sita-ji. You know, I would think of her not just as a, Adi Shakti, Parashakti, then of course there's infinite strength, but as a woman, that inner power in her was so great. First of all, Ravana could not touch her. He only kept telling her, he pleaded with her, please be my wife. Please accept me. In fact, he was the one who was like all Dina in front of her. And she just kept a piece of grass in front of her. And she just kept looking at that grass, telling him indirectly, you are not even more than this piece of grass. You don't even deserve this much of attention of mine. I'm not even going to look at you. Forget. He would plead, please look at me. Now, who was the victim? Here she was, she's saying, I'm not going to look at you. Forget anything else. I don't accept all the so-called temptations that they are not temptations to me at all. You're nothing. See, Sita ji or Adi Shakti or Bhagwati, or if you see in her position also, even when she came as Lakshmi, all the Devatas said, we are so strong, we have this ability. She did not, she ignored all of them and went to Narayana, who was sleeping somewhere. Because she recognized him. The greatness of the Lord was so easily understood to her. And so here also, she recognized Ravana for what he was, as a small, little, petty person in comparison to Rama. So look at her power, where she says, you're nothing. He kept threatening her and he went away. So there also, even in such terrible circumstances, she really proved herself to be victorious, because he returned. She just sat there without untouched by him. Then comes one incident which really people also feel like, why did Rama do that? Bhagwan, why after Ravana was killed, then Sita ji was asked to go through Agni pariksha. Hey, 1 minute. Did Ram Bhagwan ever doubt the purity and the greatness of Sita ji? Never. It is not possible. But everyone knew the power of Ravana. And it was not possible because all the Devatas were his servants. Person who could make the Devatas as his servant. Then Sita ji, a so-called delicate, helpless woman, what power would she have? How would they know her power? And in that privacy of that Ashok Vatika, how was anyone to know what happened? So here was Bhagwan Rama proving that Sita and her power was so great, that Ravana, the so-called great Ravana, also could do nothing to her. She came out of that Agni pariksha, that fire test, absolutely victorious. Proved her greatness, and that Ravana could do nothing to her. So there again, once more, she came out absolutely victorious. Then, of course, we come to this very, very controversial and something that even people who love Ramayana and love Bhagwan Rama, at some time or the other in their heart, deep in their heart, they start feeling, but why did he banish Sita? What had she done? Why was she victimized? I mean, maybe he should have put that dhobi into the jail or something like that. Someone who was talking bad about someone so great, that dhobi should have been put into jail. But why was Sita ji banished? What did she do? She is innocent. And it is not that Bhagwan Rama ever believed that she in any way was wrong or did anything wrong. It is no question about that. Then why was she victimized? This is a very, very common question asked by so many people. So here, let us see, as I told you all right in the beginning, we have to take this first standpoint. And what is that first standpoint? That Shiva and Shakti, Bhagwan and his Adi Shakti cannot ever be separated. From that point of view, of course, it's a very different thing. Then the other, this also we see is Bhagwan has come for establishing dharma. So neither he nor his Shakti can ever do anything which is adharmic in nature. It is not possible. So the decision could definitely not be adharmic, wrong, immoral, or unethical. It is not possible. Then we go to the next. Bhagwan Ram was a king. He was the Ramo Vigrahavan Dharma. He was the very embodiment of Dharma. And he used to say that the Praja is my body. For him, the Praja was his Pujya, his Ishta, his Devata. Now, as Raj Dharma would have it, there was so much of cohesiveness and harmony. There was absolutely no crime in his kingdom. All of this, that is why we still to this day say Rama Rajya as the ideal kingdom, you know. So, in that point of time, one of his subjects, the Dhobi, as we all know, the launderman, as we know, had this thought. Why Sita has stayed in Lanka? Now remember that Agni pariksha happened in Lanka. It had not happened in Ayodhya, right? And if someone just says, oh, wahan hua tha, there this Agni pariksha had happened, already she has proved, they'll say, no, 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 we don't know whether it actually happened and all that. So Bhagwan Ramji was not going to put Sita ji in another Agni pariksha in front of his Ayodhya Vasi. No, no, that was not an option at all. Then we all know, even in the present day, we see the world politics and all, we know that many times a rumor or a lie, when it is repeated often enough by a lot of people, it as though becomes the truth. We have seen in politics in the world in this time also, someone says, I have won the election, even when they have lost the election, it actually, so many people still start believing, no, 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 you have won the election. We know. So a rumor, a wrong notion, a lie, when it is repeated often enough, and as rumors are, we all know what happens to rumors, a common thing, it's repeated and repeated and repeated till it becomes, when it's a complete lie, it becomes what? A truth. How could such a thing happen in Ram Rajya? How? It's not possible. So therefore, no scope of that sort of a thing ever happened. And one of the things that as far as I'm concerned, this is the highest explanation that I could even think of giving for this particular incident. Sita ji definitely was not a victim. Not one point anywhere in the Ramayana has anywhere Sita ji said anything about that what Bhagwan did was wrong, that I am a victim, that why was I sent away. She has never ever said, why me in this particular circumstance? Definitely. Nowhere is this. So many times people say, yes, 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 people don't want to say why me. But inside their heart, they will keep that. Many times victims, even though they don't speak it, because, people are not going to accept it. But in their heart, they feel, oh, why me? Why me? Now, even if it was there in Sitaji's heart, it would definitely have come out. It was not even in her heart. How do we know that? Now, we know many times when people are divorced, what happens? even though the lady may not say anything, but surely with the children, she will say, you know what the father was, your father, something, some bitter or something. Even if they don't say anything bad, they definitely are not going to say a lot of good things. Why? Because that thing in her heart is definitely going to come out, with the children. That, oh, you don't know what he was, you know what he did. Sita ji brought up two wonderful children, Love and Kush. And we all know that they were told the entire story of Rama, Sri Rama's life, Bhagwan's life. And these two young, beautiful teenagers, they went to the court of Bhagwan Ram and sang the story of Rama in all praise. Nowhere did any of that, something wrong happened. And if something wrong had happened, as Sita ji, if she felt that something wrong had happened, definitely Love and Kush would not be saying that. They would themselves have felt, what happened to my mother was wrong. She was a victim. This was not, nowhere is any such mention by Lava Kusha, neither from the words of Sita ji, nor from anyone. And Valmiki ji was there. You think a great sage like Valmiki, who took Sita ji, would have allowed us someone, or Vashishta Rishi, Bhagwan Rama always listened to great saints. Whenever he did any action, he would always talk to his guru. He would always talk to great sages. Every action that he took, he would always consult them, whether he was walking the right path, etc. We never hear of Vashishta Rishi saying, hey Rama, don't do this, don't make Sita a victim. It's not right. Sita ji was very happy in the ashram of Rama, of Valmiki ji, in the sense, it's not that you can be happy when you're away from this husband, but she never felt that she was a victim at any extent. And another very important thing, how Sita ji was absolutely victorious is because for this action of Bhagwan Rama, to date, people say something wrong about him, but not one person says anything wrong about Sita ji. Bhagwan Rama's love for Sita was so great that he felt that let them speak bad about me. For eons together, people will doubt this decision of mine, but not a single person is ever going to say anything bad about my Sita. What a love. What a great love. And Sita ji also accepted that, yes, here is his love for me, which is so great, that he is going to be given the bad name, not to me. Sita ji's life was absolutely none. From all these and other incidents also that we see, remember, here was an avatar and his Adi Shakti. These are ideals where they come out victorious. In our day-to-day life, women don't always come out victorious. And it is a fact that as women, it is a fact that life is definitely more challenging in a lot of ways. A woman has to prove herself again and again and again and again. Any successful woman in this world knows this as a fact. A man would prove himself once, he's accepted his grade, he's achieved something, etc. A woman, every time, all the time, in every phase of her life, in every aspect of her life, has to keep on proving. Sita ji also had to keep on proving, and Agni pariksha, and this pariksha, and that pariksha, constantly. But what happens in the process? If it is taken in the right way, she becomes only stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger. It's a fact. Sita ji did face challenges, as did, of course, everyone else, Bhagwan Ram and all of them also. But as we know, that in and through all this, she became a very, very strong person. As I again said, this is an ideal. We say in our culture, Yatra naryastu pujyante ramante tatra devataha. This is an ideal. There where women are worshipped, there all good things happen. The gods are happy. There is well-being, there's prosperity, there's, dharma, etc. It is a fact. This is an ideal. So Sita ji did set an ideal. She was victorious. However, that does not mean that the ideal actually is there in this world. We are far from this ideal. She was victorious. She will always be remembered as someone who was an ideal and a great person. However, we all know that every woman who lives in this world, even in this time of so-called modern liberal ways of our living, this ideal is not there. So a woman does have to struggle, does have to prove, does have to, face a lot of victimization, if one has to say, but we know that there is an ideal in front of us, and we too can reach that ideal. We can be victorious. And we know a lot of us have actually proved that we can be victorious in life. We don't have to be victim of anything. Like Sita ji, we too can be victorious. Thank you. And now I hand over to Gauri ji. She can continue.
Hello, thank you, Swamini ji. And it's my pleasure that I will have to speak now after you. So there is some tension. Okay, let me start. Start with Valmiki's praise first, who wrote Ramayana. Kujantam Rama Rameti Madhuram Madhuraksharam Aruyha Kavita Shakham Vande Valmiki Kokilam. And then the heroine of the play of the epic, Bhumer Duhitaram Vidyam Namami Prakritim Shivam Paulastyaishwarya Samhartrim Bhaktabhishtam Saraswatim. So this is a benediction to Saraswati, my prayers to Saraswati. I'm so grateful to Swami Swatmananda ji of Chinmaya Mission Mumbai, who gave me an opportunity to present my views on Sita, whether she is a victim or victor. I have named it as Sita, strength personified. Tradition calls Sita Abala, an innocent married woman subjected to abduction, repudiation, and so on and so forth. Let's analyze that with the help of Valmiki Ramayana. I am not referring to Tulsi Ramayana at all. I will be referring to Valmiki Ramayana, Gita Press Gorakhpur edition, and then try to come to some conclusion. I am reminded of Ramaraksha Stotra, which I have been reciting right from my childhood. Asya Shri Ramaraksha Stotra Mantrasya Buddha Kaushika Rishihi Shri Sita Ramachandro Devata Anushtup Chandaha Sita Shaktihi Srimad Hanumana Kilakam, etc., etc. Sita Shaktihi. So Sita is the Shakti of Rama. Swamini ji rightly said she is Adi Shakti, and she is the strength, epitome of strength, or strength personified. Now, traditionally, we recite the verse, Ahalya, Draupadi, Sita, Tara, Mandodari, Tatha, Panchakam, Nasmaren Nithyam, Mahapataka Nashanam. Some people call it as Panchakanya. I, as a Sanskrit professor, I would rectify the mistake of the scribe and read it as Panchakam, Na Nama Naraha, Smaren Nityam. So Sita is the main thing here. Of course, Mandodari, Tara, and Ahalya are also from Ramayana, but Sita is the main thing. Now, all these 5 women are, they have uncommon birth. They are Ayonija, Ayonisambhava. And they are the women who fought against some social norms. They suffered They were subjected to some test, put to some test, and then they got recognition and they became strong women, and then they were deified, apotheosized. They became devis. No subordination, no weak women. We can't say that chaste women or pativratas or abalas. No, they are not. In fact, their satitva is their strength. Their strength lies in their satitva, in their loyalty. I have just, by taking a review from Balakanda till Uttarakanda, throughout all the 7 kandas, wherever Sita ji appears, I saw her character, how it blooms, and I picked up few qualities which make her a very strong woman. They are like optimism. She is a very ashavadi, optimistic in nature. She is a determined. She has firm resolves, firm convictions of her own. Perseverance, she has the tenacity, forbearance, then forgiving nature, thoughtfulness, argumentative style, confidence, and her own choice in making her own decisions. She doesn't depend on anybody else for making decisions of her own. Right from Balakanda, if you take, as Swamini ji referred to her Swayamvara, Valmiki calls her Virya Shulka. The Shulka for her is Virya, the valor or bravery. That is the Shulka, that is the pana, the bait of the Swayamvara. And this Swayamvara was not a one-day affair, Janaka had declared, Valmiki says, that one whosoever tries to lift that Shivadhanushya, that bow given by Parashurama, Sita will wed him, marry him. And so many people used to come whenever they passed by Mithila, they used to come and try their hand on it, but none of them was even, able to touch and lift that bow of Shiva. And then Valmiki says the frustrated and the angry kings surrounded Mithila from all sides for 1 full year, because nobody of them was able to not break, but even lift that Dhanushya. But Janaka did not succumb to the pressure. So the Janaka Raja, Maharshi Janaka's determined spirit, that has nurtured a child, Sita, in that way. And as rightly said, Sita used to play with that Dhanushya in the childhood. That is how it is reflected in the Maharashtrian folk song. It says, Shivacha Dhanushya Sita Baina Kela Ghoda. Ghoda is horse. Tak tak. Shivacha Dhanushya Sita Baina Kela Ghoda. Ravanala Pudha Devala Padla Koda. In fact, in the Valmiki Ramayana, Ravana doesn't come for the Swayamvara and all that, okay? But then the folk literature has its own version, and Tulsi Ramayana has got a great impact on other versions of Ramayana. So she is Virya Shulka, her strength lies there right from her childhood. And then she became like an epitome of what you can say, a Vedic Indian culture. Rhetorically, I would rather call her Mother India. She is Sati and Shakti both combined together. At Chinmaya Vishwavidyapeeth is combining IKS and CKS. Sita ji is combining Satitva and the Shaktitva in one person. Purity, chastity incarnate, that is Sita ji. Her pictorial depiction, if you see, especially Raja Ravi Verma's pictures, her clothing, her posture, her stance, they all indicate at a very meek, a very homely, shy, coy type of married lady. However, that Satitva verily is her strength. When she got married, Janaka said to Bhagwan Rama, Iyam Sita Mama Sutta, this daughter of mine, this Sita, Sahadharma Charitava. He never says Anugamini Tava, Saha Dharma Chari Tava. Praticha Chainam Bhadrante Panim Grindishva Panina. So take her hand in your hands and she will follow you as a Pativrata. But basically, you accept her as Sahadharma Chari. So this is how Janaka hands over Sita to Sri Rama. Now, when it comes to the exile prasanga, when Rama goes to Vanavasa after Kaikeyi asks the boon, and then Rama desires to take the leave of Sita. He comes to Sita's palace before going to exile, and then she insists, no, she would also go with him. He tries to dissuade her. So many things he tells her, but then she says, no, I'm going to follow you wherever you are going. I am coming with you. Na pita, natmajo va atma, na mata, na sakhi janaha. Who is there ultimately for a woman? It is only her husband. Neither the father, nor the mother, nor the sister, nor the brother, nor even kith and kin. It is only Nari Nam Patireko Gatis Sada. That has become like a Subhashita of Valmiki Ramayana. So here comes that traditional approach of a married woman that she has to follow her husband in the thick and the thin. Sampattaucha, Vipattaucha, etc. But then she further she says, Agrataste Gamishyami. I will not follow you. I will go ahead and make path for you. You will follow me. Agrataste Gamishyami Mridganti Kushakantakan. I will trample upon the thorny bushes and the pebbles, and they will be pricking my feet, but I will lead the path and you will come after me. So this is like, like our Hindu marriage festival, marriage ceremony. We have the Saptapadi, and in the Saptapadi, after the first 4 steps, where the bride follows the groom, the last 3 steps, it is the bride who leads the groom. So she takes a turn of leadership, and this is, that Rama and Sita had married life for few years, and after that she wants to take that leadership role. And then she is so determined. She says, Naham Shakya Nivartayitum Udyata. I'm so ready to come with you that howsoever hard you may try to dissuade me, I'm not going to be dissuaded by you at all. She gives so many logical statements. In Ayodhya Kanda, this is very interesting. I will be quoting because I'm a Sanskrit professor. Please pardon me if it is too much of Sanskrit, but I can't resist it because that gives you the real, the original work of what Valmiki has to say about Sita ji. Irsham rosham bahishkritya bhuktaseshamivodakam nayamam veera visrabdhaha. Fearlessly visrabdhaha. O Rama, nayamam. O brave Rama, veera, you take me. Like what? Bhuktashesham ivodakam. Like the water which is saved after drinking for further journey. Bhuktashesham iva udakam. And doing what? Bahishkritya, leaving aside, giving up. What? Irsham roshancha. Irsha. Irsha is envy or jealousy. Why envy or jealousy? She tells Rama, oh Rama, don't entertain any feeling of Irsha, that is envy, thinking that how could a woman who is a princess herself, who is so delicate, so tender, so beautiful, how could she go and stay in the forest? Don't ever entertain that feeling. And Rosham, don't be angry with me because I'm not listening to you. I have my own choice. I have made up my choice, and therefore don't be angry with me. So Irisham Rosham cha Bahishkritya or Parityajya Bhuktashesham ivodakam. The commentator says in the arid region especially, you are carrying a water bottle with you. I mean, water bottle is something, some water with you, and you save some water, you don't finish it off. That will serve your purpose in the journey ahead, in the voyage ahead. So Sita, when she says that, I think we have to take the suggested meaning therefrom. Suggested meaning is she has that capacity, like the water, to calm Rama down in the times of difficulties, in the times of distress and dejection, and therefore she should be carried with him, she should be taken with him. Then she is so confident, that she won't suffer really while following him in the forest. She gives so many reasons. Of course, I'll come to those 10 reasons. Can I share my screen?
Yes, I think so.
So that, people can watch also. I mean, I just forgot to ask this.
You are able to share?
Yes, I'm able to share. Can you see it?
Yes.
Yeah. So her confidence, Anushishtasmi matra cha pitra cha vividhashrayam, nasmi samprati vaktavya vartitavyam yathamaya. You are not the one who should tell me how I should behave and how I should not behave. I am trained by my parents, matra and pitra, and therefore I know what is my duty. What is my kartavya? I know it very well. And I can stay in the palaces, in the luxuries of the royal palace, as well as I can stay with you in the forest with the equipoise, same strength. I will not grieve while staying in the forest, and I will not be much joyous and elated while enjoying the luxuries in the palace. And when you are there to protect others, will you not protect me? Why should I fear? And what should I fear from? See the logical question she is answering. I have decided to come with you and you can't dissuade me any further. Now, suppose I'm carrying you, Rama might think, oh, what about your food and all? Here you will get so many servants, serving food and all to you. Don't worry about my food. I'm fine eating fruits and roots as you will be eating. I am also fine eating that. And secondly, I have been brought up in the palace. I have been staying in the palace. I am a nature girl. I am a Bhumi Kanya. I want to see the mountains, the rivers, the lakes and the ponds with you by my side. Nirbhita drashtumichhami. Fearlessly, I want to wander around with you. So that is like a picnic for me. I will have an extra quality time with you. So please take me with you. And then if I take you with me, that's a lot of responsibility. You will become a liability on me if Rama would ever think of that. Sita says, Nato mayate guruta bhavishyati. I will not be a burden on you. So whatever you do, I am ready to follow that lifestyle, and I won't ask. I won't be demanding at all. So I won't be a burden at all on you. And therefore you can, yeah. And then she, see the argumentative style. Rama tries to dissuade her, alarming her with the ferocious animals in the forest. And then she is not to be taken aback or being, stepping back because of this fear. And she says, I am Samana Sukha Dukkhini. I have just put in the red color because these are something important things which I will be repeating again. And when still he is, very reluctant to take her with him, she says, she accuses him. You are not a brave man at all, like trying to rebuke him, to arouse his paurusha, his virya. Striyam purusha vigraham. You are as good as a woman in the garb of a man. Striyam purusha vigraham. And then one more sentence in Ayodhya Kanda, Shailu Shaiva Mam Rama Parebhyo Datamichasi. Rama tells her, why are you following with me? You can stay here, back here in the palace, and you can do as Bharata wants you to do. You can be in the service of my parents here, and you stay here. parebhyaha datumicchasi? Am I a commodity that you are giving me away to other people like this? Shailusha is a nutter, an actor. So don't be an actor that in one play, one drama, I take you as a heroine, and next play I give you as a heroine to some other actor. No, not like that. So don't act like a actor. Shailu. This is a very, I mean, what you can say, harsh word she is using to Rama. And then she quotes Savitri. She quotes Savitri, the wife of Satyavan. Savitri miva mam vidhi tvam atmavashavartini. Atmavasha. I follow Vartinim. I follow what I feel like doing. So I do not anybody else wants me to do, but I will do the way I want to do. And then she describes, the hardships of forest are nothing for me. The touch of the thorns, the thorny bushes will be as good as the silk cotton for me. The dust arising of the whirlwind will be like a sandalwood powder for me. And just a minute. And then the bed of grass will be like ankle deep carpet for me. So don't worry about the hardships and all. And then she gives the 10 steps. These are a very good, I feel, in the Ayodhya Kanda, 10 steps of convincing arguments. A strong woman, I'm not going to have every time whether she's a victim or a victor, but a strong woman must have conviction of her own, and she must have that convincing capacity so that the other people would listen to her. So initially, she is arguing on the touchstone of a conventional chastity mode. That is the first step, I have been trained by my parents that whatever your husband does, you have to follow him, and therefore I have to go with you. So that is the conventional chastity type of logical argument. Then I have been trained by my parents, and therefore I have to do as per their training. Nahi to unko kalima lag jayega. They will be, looked down upon. Then there is a prediction in her life, in her childhood. There was a prediction by some saintly people that she will suffer the Vanavasa. She will have to go to Vanavasa. So that prediction has to come through. As in the Greek drama, there are oracles. So here it's something like an oracle, something like a prediction. And therefore, it is my prarabdha. So I have to go to Vanavasa. And then she reminds him of Saha Dharmacharini and Samana Sukha Dukkhini. This is what my father told you while giving my hand in your hand. Saha Dharmacharitava. And therefore, whatever is your Sukha and Dukkha, if I have the right to enjoy in your good times, I have the right to suffer in your bad times as well. Then she rebukes him. I told you, Shailu, Shaiva Mam Rama and Striyam Purusha Vigraham, that is just to arouse his Viri and Paurusha. Then giving an illustration, an Udaharana of Savitri. Then her readiness to adjust with the difficulties in the forest, like the kusha grass will be the silk cotton, and the whirlwind dust will be the sandalwood powder and all that stuff. She won't be a burden on him, name guruta bhave. Then she would rather die than not go with him. She would prefer dying than not following him. And then the last antima astra of all the ladies is weeping, lamenting, crying. Lastly started crying. Chirasanniyatam bashpam. So long she had controlled her tears, and then she started shedding the tears. Now all these 10 astras, how can Bhagwan Rama resist all that? And therefore he took her. But before that, if she was really a strong woman, if she is strength personified, other people should feel about her strength and not she herself, right? Other people should also think that yes, she is a strong woman. And Vasishtha, the Raja Purohita, he endorsed the leadership qualities of Sita, and he had full confidence in Sita's abilities to rule over Ayodhya. And he suggested, one more thing, that Kaikeyi had asked Vanavasa for Rama. Let Rama go alone for Vanavasa and let Sita rule Ayodhya. And then he quotes the Atma hi dara sarvesham. Daraha nama patni. Okay, so the patni or the bharya is our own self, as good as our own self. And therefore, Atma iyam iti Ramasya palayishyati medinim. And therefore, like Rama himself, in another form, she will rule over this Ayodhya Nagari. I mentioned few of the qualities. One of the qualities was optimism or the Ashavadi Drishtikon, very positivistic approach. Never a leader or a strong person is pessimistic, always optimistic. She never lost hope, even for a while. 14 years of exile was a very, very long period, especially thousands of years ago, 10,000 of years ago. It must have been a very long period. Yet, while crossing the river Ganga in the boat of the Guha, the Dhivara Raja, she promises the river Ganga that after 14 years, she would come back safe with Rama and Lakshmana. See how she says, Chaturdasha Varshani Samagrani. All the 14 years, Ushya Kanane, having stayed, Ushya Vasa, having stayed in Kanana in the forest, Bhratra Saha Maya Chaiva, with his brother and with me, Ramaha, the earlier verses, Dasharathatmajaha, Punaha Pratyagamishyati, he will come back here again. And that time, O Mother Ganga, I will visit all the temples and the shrines along your holy banks. Same type of promise she does while crossing Yamuna and going to Chitrakuta thereafter. So they have crossed Ganga and Yamuna before they went to Chitrakuta. And she has promised, like in Marathi we say, Navas bolne, kuch mannat mangte hai. So like that she मन्नत मांगती है सीता जी गंगा जी से और यमुना जी से सुरा घटैहि यक्ष्यामि I will offer you Sura Sahasra, like thousands of ghata, the jars of Sura and Mausodanam and whatnot, So I will promise, I will feed so many Brahmanas with this and that. So this is a very optimistic approach of Sita. Of course, strong people, sometimes people feel that strength is equivalent to or identified, equated with cruelty. It's not so. So in Kishkindha Kanda, especially chapter 9th and 10th, Sita warns Rama against unnecessary himsa, unnecessary killing of the forest beings. And that time she advises 3 vices are there from which a Kshatriya has to abstain. He has to, win over these 3 vices: Mithya Vakya, telling lies, Parastri Gamana, of course it is very explicit meaning, then Vina Vairam Cha Raudrata, and without any reason, without any enmity, being very cruel and being very, vengeful. That is not the true Kshatriya Dharma. And she reminds him that wielding a weapon should only be for protection of Dharma, protection of the innocent, and killing the beings which are doing a Dharma, and not killing, rampantly and go on a killing spree of Mrigaya. It is not good and it doesn't make you a powerful person. So that is how she warns even her husband. So that type of strength, that type of capacity and capability she has. And when in the Yuddha Kanda later, Hanuman tells her, and he wants to kill all the wicked demonesses, the Rakshasis, who were harassing Sita while she was in the Ashokavatika, she tells him to forgive all of them because they have just obeyed the commands of their master, Rakshasa Raja, Ravana. So they are not swatantra, they are not independent, in their workings and in their actions. They have been following the commands of their master. So you should not kill. So this is untimely killing or purposeless killing, she tries to desist both Hanuman and Rama from that. How determined she is. We all know Sundarakanda is such a beautiful Kanda, and Ravana tries to persuade her with so many luxuries and so many means, and showing, displaying, showcasing his own samarthya and his own, what you can say, affluence and all that. But she is not tempted. Of course, she will not be. She is so firm. She wants him, on the other hand, that he is inviting his death thereby. He is inviting his death by abducting her. There are no two opinions and no doubt, not even an iota of doubt in the mind that Ravana has invited his death the moment he tries to abduct her and take her to Sri Lanka. And Ravana, after bringing her to Lanka, he gave her 12 months' time to agree to his plea, agree to his request. And that all comes in the Aranyakanda. Of course, she is so firm. And when in Sundarakanda Hanuman comes, already 10 months have passed. Now, if you have seen Sri Lanka, especially the Nuwar area where the Ashoka Vatika is there, it's such a dense forest. When I went there in 2016, I saw it. And it is such a dense forest and away from all these things, and the city hustle and bustle. How Sita ji, thousands of years ago, without having any means of communication, on the strength of her own Atmabala, survived all that. So that is really, if you go there, you can just imagine, visualize, just go back in the time machine thousands of years and try to visualize how Sita ji was sitting there all the time, reflecting and meditating upon Bhagavan Rama. Now, in Sundarakanda, after the Lanka Dahana and all that, Hanuman offers her that he will carry her on his back. As he came, Samudram Langhya Ullanghya, similarly, he can take her back the same way. And she gave so many reasons. So many reasons. Oh, you are a kapi, you are a monkey. So you are babbling like a monkey. Kapitva. It is a kapeyatva. It's a monkey-like prank. You are talking to me. Is it possible that you can carry me across the ocean? Then Alpa Shariratva, you are so thin. I mean, he did not, when he appeared in front of her, it was a normal kapi form. So when she said, you are Alpa Sharira, how will you carry me on your back? Then, he swelled up and showed her his Virat robe. But then she again says, no, I have a fear of falling down in the ocean because of the whirlwind and all that. You will be going with such a speed that I will become unconscious. And if I fall down, the crocodiles and the fish will eat me. This and that. So many reasons she gives, And ultimately, in Sundarakanda, it's very beautiful to read in the original. And then she says, Kamam tvamapi paryaptaha nihantum sarva rakshasan. I agree, you are capable of killing all the Rakshasas, but I want Raghava. I want my Rama to come here. If you do all the stuff, then Raghavasya yashaha hiyeta. His glory will go down. It will decrease. My husband, mujhe chuda laye, mere pati, I want that. I take pride in that. I won't take pride in the saying if people say, oh, Hanuman ne akele ne sab kaam kiya and Ram ji ko kuch kaam hi nahi bacha. I won't like that. Raghavasya yashaha hiyeta tvaya shastaistu rakshasaihi. If you punish all the Rakshasas, the Raghavas Kirti, his glory, his fame will decrease, and I don't want that. I can't compromise on his Kirti. And another thing, she said, when I was abducted, I was Paravasha, so Ravana touched me and he put me on his lap, but I was helpless then. but with deliberation, with my own choice, I will not touch any parapurusha. Naham sprashtum svataha gatram ichcheyam vanarottama. Parasya gatram sprashtum. I don't want to touch another man's gatra, avayava, svataha on my own. That is my choice. And therefore, I won't come to you. So she makes her own choices. She is not driven to any decisions. She makes her own choices. Then the fire ordeal, as everybody is talking about fire ordeal, and then Sita Tyaga, and the last Bhumi Pravesha. These are the three things. Bhumi Pravesha, of course, everybody agrees it was her choice, but fire ordeal and Sita Tyaga, could they have been avoided? Or the feminist angle, oh, it's an injustice to the woman, to the married lady, to the wife, and all that stuff. So if we really look into Valmiki Ramayana, Rama never said that you have to do Agni Divya. You have to do Agni Pariksha. Rama never said. In fact, when he told Vibhishana after killing Ravana, after Ravana's Daha Samskara and all, that Shirasnanam Karayitva and Bhushitangim, having put her head bath and decorating her with all the ornaments, bring her here. That time, she tells Vibhishana, Asnatva drashtamichhami Raghavam Rakshaseshwara. Oh Rakshaseshwara, oh Vibhishana, I want to see Rama asnatva, not even having taken bath. For all this 1 year, she was in Ravana's custody. She did not take bath, she did not take food, and water she drank not, which was offered by him, but the stream which was created by her by throwing a blade of grass there, and that stream is still flowing in Ashokavatika in Nuvareli, Lanka. And why that Shudha and Tusha, the hunger and the thirst didn't bother her? They must have, any mortal person. How can she live for 1 year? So there is one sarga in the Uttarakanda. Most of the people feel it is Prakshipta, it is interpolated sarga, interpolated canto. And even Gita Press Gorakhpur, of course, critical edition also says it is Prakshipta. But in that Prakshipta Sarga, there is this reference that Indra himself came there and gave her a kshira, a payasa. Taking that, she did not feel hunger at all for that 1 year. And what about her clothes and her abharana? It is, if you go back to Chitrakuta, then in the Aranyakanda, it is Anasuya. They went to Atri's ashram, and Anasuya and Sita, they are having a dialogue. That time Anasuya gives her some malya and some abharana saying, Akrishtam, that will not lose its glory, its luster at all. And therefore, when she came to Rama, she came in the same ornaments. Okay. Only thing is, Vibhishana, because it was Rama's Agnya, he made her take Shirasnana, and then she was riding a palanquin and coming. But all people, gathered to see her, and the other Vanaras were, Apasara, like, no, you can't come and see her. And that time Rama said, yes. At the time of Yuddha, at the time of Vivaha, in the time of Vyasana, that is Sankata, the Rajastriya, the royal women can be seen by any common people. So let her walk down that path to me, and let the Vanaras and the Rakshasas see her, So that is how she was brought. And when she was brought in front of Rama, Rama told her, Prapta charitra sandeha mama pratimukham sthita. This is the dialogue in Valmiki Ramayana. There is a doubt, there is a room for doubt about your chastity, about your purity, and you are standing in front of me, for which, about whom there could be a doubt. He never said, I doubt your purity. He never said that. Prakta Charitra Sandeha, because he had to prove in front of all other people that she is pure. And then she on her own asked Lakshmana, Chitta Rachao, and then she did that Agni Pravesha. In the Dharma Shastras, in the Sanskrit Dharma Shastras, we have something called Agni Divya. It is not actually entering the chitta and entering the fire, but holding the fire in your hand. So whosoever is convicted person, a criminal, he has to spread his hands. The jury would put a palasha patra, a leaf of palasha tree on his hand, and on that leaf, the burning embers would be put, and that is called Agni Divya. But here Sita, on her own, she asks Lakshmana to arrange that fire and jumps into it, but she comes out unburned, unhurt. She says again, Mam sarvatah patu pavakaha. If I'm pure by body, mind and emotion and by spirit, let this pavaka, let this fire purify me. Like that, she says, and she goes around Rama, and then he is sitting downcast. His eyes are filled with tears. A person who doubts his wife's chastity will not be sitting in this such a posture and shedding tears. Okay. Then Rama sat there dejected with tearful eyes for a while. Agnideva himself brought Sita. Sita is clad in red clothes, shining like gold, shining like a rising sun, and not even the flowers in the garland she wore were burnt. And again, for this, there is a story of Vedavati which comes in the Uttarakanda. We are not going into that. But did Rama have any doubt about her purity? He never had. And there are references to this in Yuddhakanda. He was sure that Ravana would not be able to transgress his limits beyond certain things. Ravano nati varteta velamiva mahodadhi. As the ocean can hardly transgress the borders, the shores, similarly, Ravana will not be able to transgress his limits. And Sita, touching Sita is like touching fire itself, the flame of the fire. Deeptam Agnishikam iva. So he has full trust in her and he knows it for sure. But then why did he tell her, oh, all the 10 directions are open for you. You have your own choice. You can make your own choice whether you want to come here and stay with me. You can go anywhere, like that he talks to her. Why? It is pratyayartham tu lokanam trayanam satya samshrayaha upekshe chapi vaidehim pravishanti bhutashni. This is only for the people to have belief and trust, and they should not blame me tomorrow that this Dasharathatmaja is Balisha and Kamuka. Out of love for Sita, he accepted her. He is very childish. He is not matured enough. So such criticism should not be leveled against the Ikshvaku dynasty's scion, and therefore pratyayartham tu lokana. But inside my heart, I know ananya hi maya Sita. Sita cannot be separated from me. Ananya. She can't be severed from me. We are but one. As Shiva and Shakti are one, similarly Rama and Sita are but one. There is Advaita. Bhaskarasya prabhayatha. As nobody can grab or can remove the luster from the sun. Similarly, nobody can get Sita away from Rama. And it is not only Rama who has full trust in her. It is Mandodari, the wife of Ravana. She tells in Yuddhakanda that Ravana got burnt, Ravana got killed, Vinashta. Why? The person, the Rakshasa Raja, who had enslaved even the gods, and all the Sahasrarjuna and the Vali and the Nivata Kavachas and this and that. There is a long list in her Mandodari's Vilapa there. But then she says he was killed because of Sita's strength of purity and chastity. Pativratayaha tapasa nunam dabdhosi me prabho. Oh my Lord, you got vanished, you got burnt because of, and she had already told this to Ravana when he wanted to touch her against her will. She reminded him of the curse of the Nalakubara and all that. And then when Ravana was about to kill Sita, this is all witnessed by Hanuman in the Sundarakanda. That time Mandodari stops him from killing, and she always compared Sita and Rama as Chandra and Rohini. I mean, Sita is like a Rohini and Sita is like a Shachi for Indra, so they are inseparable. And then this was the ordeal. And then Rama doesn't have an iota of doubt, as I said, about Sita's purity. And he says, Antaratma cha me vetti Sitam Shuddham Yashasvinim. See the adjectives which Rama uses here. And he says, my inner soul, I, from within, I'm so sure that Sita is Shuddha and Yashasvini. She's pure. She doesn't have anything in her mind. She is pure in and out, and she is Yashasvini. She is very famous. She is glorious because of that purity. But as a king, again, this comes to the Sita Tyaga, and in Valmiki, it is not the Dhobi or the Vashaman, it is the Janapada. It is in the Tulasi Ramayana that we have that Rajaka or a Dhobi, but in the Valmiki Ramayana, it is Paurapavada, not one person. There are these talks going on in like on the Chaurahe pe, on the crossroads, on the Vana, on the Upavana, and every other place, you know. So Paurapavadaha Sumahan Tatha Janapadasya cha. So this comes in the Uttarakanda. Then when he hears that as a king, he has to keep everything, you know, himself updated what the Praja is thinking of his Rajya. And when he got his spies on this, he learned about the Paurapavada. Immediately he called all his three brothers and shared this news with heavy heart to them, and then ordered Lakshmana that you go and leave her near Valmiki's ashrama. And then he says, I am not a happy person to decide this, having abandoned Sita, having given her up, you know. Bhavantaha pashyantu mam patitam shoka sagare. I will be the saddest person thereafter, after Sita Tyaga. I may be a good king, but I know for myself that I am not a good husband, because I am giving her up when she is carrying.
Gauriji, if you can conclude little soon.
Yeah, I'm concluding now. This is, I think, the next is the last slide. Yeah. So Sita understands Rama's heart and all, and she blames not Rama, but her destiny for that. And then she wants to take the responsibility in this and says, whatever is the vachaniya, whatever is the rumor, which is lokapavada, maya cha parihartavyam. ये मेरा भी कर्तव्य बनता है कि I give some contribution in trying to remove that Paurapavada. And there, you know, of course, in the later versions, there are variations. Like Sita is more this thing. Sita is superior to Rama. Hirakani Sita bai Rama halakya dilasa. And Kalidasa's Sita in Raghuvamsha, she tells Lakshmana, Vachastvaya madvachanat saraja, you know, like that. But Valmiki Ramayana, Sita never says anything like that. One more thing which I wanted to say is that she is a single parent and she nourished Kushalava, her twins, ably and without having any malice or any hatred for husband, and she did not have those values imbibed or inculcated in her two sons. And of course, these are some of the folk songs which I had gathered for this. But circumstances make a woman more strong, and this could be compared to any female worker, especially on the construction site, you know, as jhoole pe jhulati hai ladke ko, bachche ko, like that. And then her end is by her own choice, and she comes slowly behind sage Valmiki. Of course, when Lavakusha are born, Valmiki says Shatrughna was in the ashrama of Valmiki on the way to Lavanasura's Vadha. So Shatrughna knew Sita has given birth to the twins. And when he comes back after 12 years, when the kids are 12 years old, he listens to this Ramayana for the first time. And then when she was done, she was asked to prove her chastity again. Then it is enough, and she calls her mother. And yathaham raghavadanyam manasapi na chintaye tatha me madhavi devi vivaram datumarhati. So 3 verses, only 3 verses she talks, she recites in the Uttarakanda. And Madhavi Devi, up comes the Bhudevi seated on a golden throne and propped by the serpents and all that. And she takes Sita into her arms while all look speechless and unmindful of what the happening, and regained their consciousness only after a while, and they started lamenting. So now I'll come to only this title, whether she was a victim or a victor. Not Abala, so she is Sabala, she is a Shakti, and not once even she succumbed to the pressure of Ravana. Another thing which Mahatma Gandhi used to call her as a true Satyagrahi. In Ravana's kingdom in Ashoka Vatika, for 1 year she stayed, it was a Satyagraha. Satyasya agraha, Satyaya cha agraha. So that was her Satyagraha. She is a true Satyagrahi in that spirit. And as a single parent nourishing her twins, so this is like a very strong characteristic of Sita. And she is never known as Ramapatni. She is Janaki. She is Vaidehi. On the other hand, Rama is known as Sita Rama, right? And I would conclude this as Devi. She became Devi from textual analysis to cultural analysis if we come. And 3 main things. She is a Prakriti, that materiality is seen in her when she accuses and uses harsh words for Lakshmana after Maricha Vadha. So there is Shakti, there is Prakriti, and there is Sati. So creativity, materiality, and incredible purity, that is what make her Sita as from human to divine. And basically she is a furrow made by a plowshare, which is called Sita. And there is in the Rigveda the Sita Krishi Sukta, where Sita is glorified. Until she goes back to her own abode into Bhumi Devi, it is all from earth to earth. She is a Bhumi Kanya, and she goes and ends her life in the Bhumi. So thank you so much, and sorry for extending my time by 5-10 minutes. Hari Om, Namaskar.
Thank you so much, Pujya Swamini ji and Dr. Mahulikar ji, for such a wonderful, insightful, and enlightening talk. With your permission, we'll take a few questions now. One of the questions that has come up was, why was Sita told to be a good wife by Devi Anusuya ji, but such an Updesh was not given to Sri Rama? Swamini ji, this question is addressed to you.
Yes. In fact, I was going to mention this, but of course, as we know the time restrictions, I'll make this also very brief. Remember, Sita was already a queen at that point of time, when a queen in making, you know, she was not crowned. So her Updesh was not just given as a woman to a man, but it was given as a queen as well. And Ramji got enough Updesh as about his Rajadharma from Vashishta Rishi and all. So it is not that he was given, woman, be a good wife and all that, and then he was given. No, this is a queen also. She's already a queen, and she's been told that doesn't matter what type of a king he is, you're supposed to be with him and all of that. So he was given Rajadharma, she was given Queen Dharma. So both of them were given a nice, proper, this is how I see it.
This brings us to another question that came in, was, if a woman is tired of proving herself and starts living on her own terms, where she doesn't necessarily always agree to her husband, with her husband all the time. Is that adharma?
No, excuse me, it has already been told by our Dr. Mahulikar ji that it is not at all. She is defied and she says, I'm going to do, I have a mind of my own. I can do what I want to do and I will do it the way I want to do it. So it's fine. There's no adharma in it. But whatever we do when we make our own decisions, we have to face the consequence of it. Sometimes as a woman, it comes out in a very bad backlash. It does happen because as a woman, you make your choice, you are given more of a lashing, and which is a fact. But still, if you take your own choices, you go by it, so be it. Doesn't matter. You have a right to be that, and that is not called adharma at all.
Okay. Then Swaminiji, then with Sita going out of Ram Rajya, whether it was her banishment or the subsequent into Bhumiji, would that have affected the kingdom's prestige and well-being?
As I again keep saying that Shiva and Shakti are one, Rama and Sita are one. So this banishment and this outer, this is just an outside khel, as a Rama, as a Katha and all of that. Sita and Ram can never be put apart. You cannot, separate the two. As it's already said by Professor, it's like the Surya and his Teja. You cannot separate the Surya with the Teja. So where Ram is, the Sita is already there. But that outer form, yes, was banished, was made to go out. That was okay. It's like the poetry. So the poet and the poet's talent is with him, but the poetry is outside. Okay. But the poet and his talent is always there with him. So therefore, Ram Rajya suffered because Sita ji was not there, cannot be there. Oh, however, we can say it's possible that if she was there, it could have been enhanced. There is no question about it. It definitely could have been enhanced in a lot of ways, which I am sure everyone recognizes, because with a woman as an outside figure seen, on her side, it would have been a wonderful, picture for everyone also to have, the king and the queen next to each other. It would have been fantastic. It would have been great. Ram Rajya is already held so high. With Sita by her side, I think it could have been just, I don't know what. It could have been beyond our expectations. Yes, true enough.
I'd like to apologize to the audience today that we need to extend our sessions to take care of a few questions. A lot of important questions have come in, so please bear with us. Swaminiji, could you also speak a little bit about how Sita ji emerged victorious when she went into the earth?
Oh, yes. I mean, first of all, the avatara is taken for doing a particular karya. When that karya is over, when your work is over, you should quit. Anyone for that matter, if you are there, you finished your work, you should quit. So it is her choice, that now I finished whatever I have come here for. I don't think I'm required to be any more around here. I'm not going to serve greater purpose by being here. So it's time to quit. So she says, okay, I'm going. And how will I go? I will go the way I came. I came from the earth, I'll go back into the earth. And Mother Earth most happily welcomed her. She says, please come, you're my child, come back to me. So that's how it happened. And I think all of us, we must know when we should quit. That's an important thing also. We shouldn't hang around more than we require to hang around, right?
Yes.
Otherwise, others will leave us. Kick the world before the world kicks you. That's what we all talk about. So better not hang around too much, where you are then kicked off, and then better to quit before we others do that, right?
Another pertinent question that has come in is, was the Agni pariksha a patriarchal action towards Sita ji?
See, as I told you, a woman has to keep proving herself again and again. That's a thing which I really believe. And let's say I've experienced myself, let's say, or I'm sure there's not a single woman over there who has not had to, who especially is in the public life, or who's, maybe a CEO of a company or something, much, much, much more than what a man would have to do. That is also an absolute total fact. So let's accept that that is possibly one this. However, see, Sita ji, as the story goes, Sita ji was in Ashok Vatika and all of that, right? That circumstances was there for Sita ji, right? So she said, look, I have to come out of this victorious. Not that she had to, as Professor said very clearly, it is not that Ramji made her do it. She says, no, I'm going to do it. I'm going to show that I'm absolutely at this. So she has done it again voluntarily. She has chosen to go into the Agni pariksha, right? So it's not that someone else's system she has to follow. She's saying, no, I'm going to use this way of proving that I am this. I'm going to prove it. And as she very rightly pointed out, in the good old days in the Chandogya Upanishad, it comes like that a person who is stolen something, and if he wants to prove that he is innocent or he is this, then they used to hold on to parashub. It is said, you know, there used to be some iron thing would be heated, and she would have to hold it. And if he doesn't get burnt, I mean, look at that yuga. In this yuga, I don't think any one of us can succeed with that, because we all got a lot of lies within us, so we won't succeed. But in those days, that power was there with those people also. And of course, Sitaji, there's the question. So if you have not spoken lies, then you would not get burned. Meaning that truth will be so powerful that it will prevent, nature will change their rules so that it proves that no, Satyam is there. Agni will not burn, because you are holding on to truth. So truth will save you, truth will protect you. That was the power of truth. So this is what Agni Pariksha, what she's done is the power of truth. She says, look at this, I'm showing you the power of truth. She comes out of it absolutely fine. She says, she takes it on. No one else tells her to do it, she takes it on. So it's not a patriarchal thing, but the fact is, yes, a woman has to keep proving herself.
And when Love and Kush went into Ramji's Sabha and narrated the whole story of Ramji, were they aware that Ramji was their father?
I will let a professor answer this a little more, because I am not that very sure of it. This is my personal belief that he was not aware, and after a particular point of time, he became aware, is what I have known. But I think she is better in answering this question. Please answer.
Yeah, Lavakusha knew that Ramji is their father, but Ramji did not know till certain time.
Till certain time. So I'm right. Okay, I'm glad. Thank you so much for clarifying.
Yes.
Okay, Dr. Mahulikar ji, one question is that one theory can be that Sita ji went with Lord Ram out of a sense of fear of guilt. Like if she would have stayed in the public, in the kingdom, people would have nagged her for being self-centered, etc. Can this be an angle of perspective?
Nowhere Valmiki says it. It's all our feminist approaches with which we think, you know, and we try to interpret in a different manner altogether.
Okay. Ramananji Sagarji's Ramayan, which was telecast on television, showed Devi Sita broken and bitter and sad, where she went into Dharti Mata's arms saying, "Mujhe le chalo ma, yahan nari ka samman nahi hota hai."
That is all dramatization.
So, what has Valmiki ji said? It's like what you said, that it was done out of her own choice.
Yeah, it's all exactly the way I put it. I have quoted the verses. People can see, and now I think Swamiji has shared the file also of the PPTs. So people can see for themselves. I have referred to Gita Press Gorakhpur edition. So it is all so clear. Nowhere she says that Nari ka samman nahi hota hai. Nothing of the sort. It is only dramatization to make it more popular.
One last question is that Sita ji sets a bar for Indian women to be achieved or to follow in a marriage. But many a times, not all factors like beautifulness, tenderness, obedience, and chastity are able to be followed. So based on the flaws, women are shamed for not being a Sati Savitri. So what would you say upon that?
This is so
you want to take it? I can say something. Can I say something? Yes. First of all, let the husband be like Rama, then let the wife be like Sita. Full stop. Let him show even 1/100th of the quality of Rama, then the Sita will become a Sati Savitri to whatever extent she can be. Without that, and just to say that you be a Sati Savitri is absolutely ridiculous and meaningless.
I'm going to say the same thing. Antaratma cha me vetti. Rama was so confident Antaratma cha me vetti. So if the husbands are so confident, then every other woman would be Sita. If people are like Ram.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you so much. I'm sure many of our doubts and misconceptions have been cleared, and we will be able to view Sita ji and Shri Ram ji in a different, more positive light. Now, before we conclude, a few announcements. Puja Swamini ji will be conducting the Chinmaya Dharma Sevak course, which is a 6-week residential spiritual course, which covers the fundamentals of Vedanta and other spiritual practices, starting from 22nd July to 1st of September this year in Coimbatore. And this whole course is conducted in a Gurukul setting. Swamini ji will be ably assisted by Swamini Sampratishta Nanda ji. The details of the course are shared on your screen. We now have Srimati Ritika Mulchandani, who completed the course in 2006, sharing her experience of the Dharma Sevak course.
Hari Om. My name is Ritika Asrani, and I've been fortunate to have attended the Dharma Sevak course taken by Swamini ji at our ashram in Coimbatore. I can honestly say that it's been one of the most enriching experiences of my life. Right from the teachings to the atmosphere and the nature surrounding the ashram, everything just put us in a spiritual zone, so to speak. It was the first time that I was studying Upanishads in detail, and that really deepened my interest in Vedanta. It expanded my understanding, and honestly, it helped me to start taking a class. And it wasn't just all about the knowledge. There was the bhakti aspect to it too, which I wasn't sure I was going to like, but I ended up loving, because we learned why we do certain things in our culture. For example, what are the steps that are followed during a puja, for example? What is the symbolism of that? So all of this made the course really interesting for us. There was also the fun element, which were the treks and the walks that we took at the foothills of the Nilgiris. And the whole experience was really, really stunning. I did the course 15 years back, in 2006 in fact, and I remember all of the details just like it was yesterday. It clearly left a lasting impact on me. So honestly, if this is something that you're inclined towards, then it's highly, highly recommended. Please go ahead and do it. Hari Om.
Let us now watch two very short videos on the flagship project of Chinmaya Mission, the Chinmaya Vishwavidyapeeth.
From the resonance of the Om to the infinite echo of the Big Bang. As we march forward, we must dig our roots even deeper to mine a 5,000-year-old civilization and stand on the shoulders of giants, a brotherhood of scholars and thinkers sharing knowledge guided by one tradition, Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, where ambition is informed by profound compassion and purpose, where the genius of Kautilya rubs shoulders with Keynes, where Sushruta and Fleming sit side by side, where science and spirituality intertwine, where the Navarasa of Kala brings alive the young imagination, where knowledge is interconnected and amplified across eras, borders, and minds. Let us change tomorrow by making history. Let us revive the future, brick by brick. Chinmaya Vishwavidyapeeth. One knowledge, one world. Integrating Indian wisdom with contemporary knowledge. To donate or to find out more, visit our website.
university is already changing the game in an incredible learning environment. And with your support, it will also have a leading world-class infrastructure built with sustainability in mind, using solar-powered farms, biogas plants, and solid waste treatment facilities, all for minimum impact on the environment. The university offers world-class education built on Indian wisdom. The students that graduate will be leaders in their fields, who, through the rigorous, innovative curriculum, will be well-versed in traditional Indian wisdom that is so applicable in today's fast-paced world. This unique and holistic approach can only be found at the Chinmaya Vishwavidyapeeth campus in Kochi. Sports encourage not only an active lifestyle, but also develops the fundamentals of teamwork, competitive spirit, and drive. CVV offers many different fields and arenas in which to sharpen these skills. The academic block has state-of-the-art teaching facilities and is the home of our leading-edge faculties. The Gurukul area supports a unique learning environment for studying the Shastras and Indian knowledge systems. Akala Yoga Center will support the study of classical Indian music and dance and features specialist facilities not often found anywhere else. The university has its own meditation center and will offer students a place to recharge emotionally, rejuvenate spiritually, and refresh mentally for maximum impact learning. The leading minds in their fields teach and share their wisdom and knowledge at CVV. Their accommodation is found en route to the library that includes guest facilities for research collaborators. And finally, the library sits atop the peak of the grounds, representing the sacred knowledge that flows down to the fields of learning.
One knowledge, one word, integrating Indian wisdom with contemporary knowledge. To donate or to find out more, visit our website.
Tomorrow morning, we meet again at 11 a.m. with Swami Ramakrishnanandaji speaking on Sri Ram, an inspiring leader. Details are on in the chat box. And in the evening, we have Swami Mitranandji and Pandit Vamdev Shastriji on the Sri Ram Mandir and cultural resurgence. This Siyaram festival is our endeavor to contribute to the revival of our culture and heritage. As you are all aware, the construction of the Ram Mandir has already commenced. In his talk yesterday, Swami Govind Devji Maharaj said, Ram stands for Prem and Purusharth. Prem towards all and Purusharth towards our nation and the self. If you feel inspired, please do join us in this glorious cause by donating generously using the link shown in the chat box. If you are enjoying these sessions, please do subscribe to the Chinmaya Mission Mumbai channel on YouTube by clicking on the subscribe button or the bell icon. And if you are on Facebook, please do like our page. The details for the Dharma Sevak course, the registration link is also shown in the chat box. Once again, I thank Puja Swamini ji and Dr. Mahulikar ji for taking out very valuable time and enlightening us on these very, very important topics for us today. Thank you. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.